What's up, y'all? Let's talk about this thing that everyone kind of does, but nobody really admits. Overthinking. You know that loop in your head where you're going over the same thing again and again? What you said, what you didn't say, how you acted, what someone else did, what might happen next. It's endless. And somehow people start acting like this is their personality. Like, yeah, I'm just an overthinker, that's me. And I gotta say, it's really not. It's not at all. Here's the thing. Overthinking isn't some badge of honor, and it's definitely not something that makes you special or unique. You don't get extra points in life for thinking a million thoughts about the same situation. If anything, it usually does the opposite. It holds you back, makes small problems feel huge, and quietly messes with your confidence. And the worst part? People start letting it define them. They casually drop, "Oh, I overthink everything," like it's supposed to explain their mood, their decisions, or their failures. But overthinking isn't who you are. It's just a habit that your brain picked up. And it's one you can unlearn if you actually notice it. Think about it. How often have you spent hours, sometimes days, thinking about some text you sent or didn't send, or rewatching a conversation in your head trying to figure out if you said the wrong thing? That's not you being deep or thoughtful. That's your brain running back the same track on repeat because it doesn't know how to let things go. And the more you lean into that, the more you start acting like it's this core part of your identity. I'm an overthinker, deal with it. But honestly, that's just an excuse and a crutch. Another thing that's wild about overthinking is how it tricks you into thinking it's preparation or wisdom. You start thinking, well, I'm just being cautious. I'm just thinking ahead. I'm being careful. And yeah, a little planning is fine. Thinking before you act is actually smart. But overthinking is not thinking. It's imagining every worst-case scenario, replaying events that already happened and convincing yourself that if you just analyze enough, you'll finally have control. But here's the truth. Control is a complete illusion. You can't control what everyone else does or how they feel, and you can't rewind life to fix something that's already done. Overthinking just makes you feel like you're doing something productive when you're really just spinning your wheels. And the funny part is, you start normalizing it. You see it in your friends and people around you and you're like, yeah, that's just life. Everyone overthinks. But here's the thing, not everyone does. Some people just act. They make a decision, move forward, adjust if it goes wrong, and let the small stuff slide. That's not luck or arrogance. That's just not letting your brain hijack your life. Meanwhile, overthinkers are still in bed at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling thinking about what they should have said 3 days ago. And I do the same thing, bro. Because I'm not saying you can magically stop overthinking overnight. That's not realistic. The first step is just noticing it. Catch yourself in the loop. Recognize when your brain is doing this overanalyze everything sort of thing. And call it out. Because the moment you start seeing it for what it is, a habit, not your personality, you start to separate yourself from it. You start realizing, hey, this isn't me. This is just my brain freaking out. And that little shift changes everything. Here's something that's kind of wild when you pay attention. The stuff you overthink is almost never as big or as important as your brain makes it out to be. Like 90% of the things you stressed about aren't even real problems. They're possibilities, maybe situations, tiny social details that literally no one else remembers. And yet you let them dictate your mood, your actions, and your confidence. You hand your brain this ridiculous amount of power over your day-to-day life, and then shrug and say, yeah, I'm just an overthinker. What can I do? And that's the trap, as I said. And let's be real, overthinking often comes from fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of messing up. And fear is fine in small doses and can actually be useful sometimes. But overthinking is fear on steroids. It's fear pretending that it's a skill. And the more you buy into it, the more it feeds itself. You think you're just being careful or reflective, but really you're just trapped in a loop that doesn't get you anywhere. So yes, step 1 is noticing it. Step 2 is remembering that it's not a personality trait. You're not the overthinker. You're a person who happens to sometimes overthink, and that's fixable. And fixable doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean you won't think too much again. It just means you can start deciding when to listen to your brain and when to tell it to chill for a bit. Let's go into why overthinking sticks so hard. The brain is basically wired to protect you. It sees potential problems and threats and wants to solve them before they happen. And that sounds smart, right? But here's the kicker. Most of the problems you overthink aren't even real. As I said, It's just running simulations, hypotheticals, tiny social mistakes, and when you keep playing those tapes in your head, it reinforces the habit. And the more you do it, the more your brain thinks that this is the way you're supposed to operate. You start calling yourself an overthinker because it feels permanent, like it's built into you, but it isn't. When you catch yourself spiraling, thinking about something over and over, do something that pulls you out of it. And that doesn't mean scrolling on your phone or TikTok. Just go on a walk, step outside, clean your room. Whatever forces your brain to focus on the moment instead of replaying the same thought track. Overthinking is only powerful because you give it power. Every thought that runs in a loop, ask yourself if this is actually useful right now. Because most of the time it's not. You're imagining something that hasn't happened yet or analyzing something that already happened and can't be changed. And that's just mental noise. And mental noise doesn't make you better. It actually makes you tired and less confident. Start mentally tagging things as useful or useless. And one of the biggest drivers of overthinking is the illusion that you can control everything. Because you simply can't. Life is messy and people are unpredictable. Situations don't always follow your plan. And that's okay. The more you fight it, the more stuck you get. Instead, practice leaning into uncertainty and make a choice to commit to it, even if it's not perfect. Just let yourself be okay with not having all the answers. And overthinking also often grows because we fear mistakes. So just shrink the stakes in your life. Do little things that force you to act without obsessing. Text someone first instead of waiting for the perfect timing. Speak up in a meeting or conversation even if it's not perfectly formulated. Make a small decision quickly and see what happens. Most of the time, nothing catastrophic really occurs. And each time that you see that, your brain learns, oh, I can handle this. Maybe I don't need to run a 50-step simulation. And like I said earlier, you might notice that overthinking gets reinforced because it's relatable. Or people just nod and say, yeah, same here, when you're talking about obsessing over small stuff. But that just normalizes the habit. It's comforting, sure, but it also keeps you trapped. So instead of just saying, I'm an overthinker, catch that. Don't just say it casually. Challenge it. And you also need to find a way to set boundaries within your own brain. This sounds weird, but you can literally train yourself to tell your thoughts, not now. Pick a time to reflect deeply, maybe 20 minutes a day or during a walk or before bed, and allow yourself to think through scenarios intentionally. Outside of that, when a thought comes invited, tell yourself, I'll think about it later or I'll handle it when it happens. It's about creating structure instead of letting every stray thought control your mood and actions. And the last thing I want to talk about is actually a really powerful piece, and it's self-compassion. Overthinking feeds on judgment. You criticize yourself for thinking too much, for making mistakes, for not having it figured out. The judgment fuels the loop. So cut yourself some slack. Realize that everyone overthinks sometimes. You're learning, growing, figuring life out just like everyone else. Treat yourself like you treat a friend who's caught in the same loop. That mental kindness quietly reduces the intensity of overthinking and makes it much easier to step out of that cycle. And look, bro, overthinking is not going away overnight, and that's completely fine. The point isn't perfection, it's progress. It's noticing that when you're trapped and choosing a different path. It's noticing when you're trapped and choosing a different path. It's realizing that your thoughts don't define you. You're the one who decides whether they run the show or you take the wheel. And that's a freedom a lot of people never even think about. So next time your brain starts spinning, catch it. Smile a little at how dramatic it feels. Then do something, anything that moves you forward. It's not about silencing your thoughts completely. It's about living in a way where you're not a prisoner to them. And trust me, once you start building that habit, once you start acting instead of endlessly thinking, it's like a weight lifts. Things feel lighter, life feels simpler, and overthinking, it stops being a personality trait and starts being just a little noise in the background. A noise you don't even have to listen to unless you want to. So I appreciate you guys for sticking around. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two from this like usual, and I'll catch you on the next one.